Ancient Rome, a colossal empire forged in blood, iron, and an unyielding will to dominate. Its very name evokes images of legionaries, emperors, and monumental triumphs. The narrative of Roman power, as history often dictates, is carved by the hands of men. Generals in command, senators debating, emperors decreeing from their exalted thrones. But what if the true levers of power, the subtle currents shaping destiny, lay elsewhere? Concealed from public view, operating in the shadows of patriarchal tradition. Enter Livia Drusilla, a woman whose birth afforded her status, but whose gender seemingly denied her any official role in Rome's ferocious political arena. How then did this singular figure, amidst the cutthroat world of imperial Rome, not merely survive, but ascend to become an undisputed, formidable power broker? Roman society was brutally hierarchical. Women, no matter their noble lineage, were expected to remain largely domestic, their voices muted in the clamor of public life. Livia faced an edifice of ingrained misogyny and political intrigue that could crush any lesser individual. Yet, she did not just endure, she thrived profoundly. She was no mere consort. Livia was a political architect, a grand strategist whose influence rippled through generations of the nascent Roman Empire. This series delves deep into Livia's unparalleled political genius, dissecting her methods with the precision of a military analyst studying a decisive campaign. Her power wasn't proclaimed from the rostra, but woven subtly into the very fabric of Augustus's reign and the Julio-Claudian dynasty he established. She navigated conspiracies, orchestrated alliances, and silently but firmly steered the fortunes of Rome's most powerful families, shaping its imperial future. This is more than a biography. It's an epic strategic masterclass, revealing how Livia exploited societal constraints to forge an empire within an empire. Through meticulous examination of historical records and expert analysis, we will unveil the profound, often hidden, impact of her decisions and diplomacy. We'll trace her silent wars of influence, her masterful use of patronage, and the sheer audacity of her vision in a world designed to confine her. Prepare to witness a compelling narrative of human resilience, strategic brilliance, and how one woman fundamentally redefined the very concept of Roman power. Join us now as we begin to uncover the astonishing legacy of the unseen empress, who, against all odds, truly mastered ancient Rome. Our journey back to ancient Rome plunges us into an era of unprecedented turmoil, a crucible forged in the dying embers of the Republic. This was a Rome teetering on the brink, constantly devoured by civil strife and relentless power struggles that reshaped its very foundations. For generations, the Roman Republic had defined political life, built upon a fragile balance of power and aristocratic competition. Yet, by the mid-1st century BCE, its institutions buckled under the weight of ambition. Great men like Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus had carved out spheres of influence, only for their legacies to ignite further conflict. The Pax Romana was a distant dream, replaced by a brutal reality of prescriptions and endless civil war. This was not merely a political contest. It was a total war for the soul of Rome. A battle where victory meant absolute power and defeat often meant utter annihilation. Families, fortunes, and lives were routinely sacrificed on the altar of ambition. Amidst this maelstrom, a distinct and formidable challenge presented itself to anyone not born into the elite male political class. For women, even those of the highest birth, the avenues to power were severely restricted. Roman society, deeply patriarchal, confined women largely to the domestic sphere. Their roles were primarily defined by marriage, childbearing, and the management of the household. Public life was almost entirely a male domain. Even the most influential Roman matrons were expected to exert their influence indirectly through their husbands, fathers or sons. Direct political agency was a concept almost entirely foreign, or at least fiercely resisted. Women could not vote, hold public office, or command legions. Their education, though sometimes extensive for the wealthy, was rarely geared towards public discourse or political strategizing in a formal sense. Yet, to navigate this treacherous world, a woman of ambition required precisely those skills: shrewd observation, strategic thinking, and an acute understanding of human nature and political currents. Livia Drusilla was born into this unforgiving landscape in 58 BCE, a time when the Republic's fate hung by a thread. Her lineage, the esteemed Livia Drusilla, connected her to some of Rome's most ancient and powerful patrician families. Her father, Marcus Livius Drusus Claudianus, was a man of considerable standing, adopted from the Claudia gens, another venerable Roman house. This double heritage instantly placed Livia within the highest echelons of Roman aristocracy. This aristocratic background afforded her a privileged upbringing and an excellent education, far surpassing what most Roman women received. She was taught rhetoric, philosophy, and the intricacies of Roman law and politics. Such an education was not merely for intellectual enrichment, it was a survival tool. It equipped her with the mental agility and understanding necessary to comprehend the complex game of power played around her. Her family was staunchly Republican, deeply committed to the old ways, and fiercely opposed to the rise of any single individual who threatened to dismantle traditional Roman liberties. This allegiance would define Livia's early life. At just 15 years old, in 43 BCE, Livia was married to Tiberius Claudius Nero, her cousin. This union was typical of Roman aristocratic marriages, a strategic alliance designed to consolidate family power and political influence. Tiberius Claudius Nero was a prominent senator, a man of noble birth, and a respected jurist. He was also a passionate defender of the Republic, aligning himself with the same conservative faction as Livia's father. This marriage cemented Livia's position within the Republican cause. It was a union that, though initially arranged, would come to represent a pivotal early chapter in her extraordinary life, shaped by the unfolding civil war. The year 43 BCE marked a point of intense violence and political upheaval following the assassination of Julius Caesar. Rome plunged into a brutal power vacuum, with new factions vying for supreme control. The Second Triumvirate, comprising Octavian, Mark Antony, and Lepidus, was formed, unleashing a new wave of brutal proscriptions, lists of enemies whose property was confiscated and lives forfeited. Livia's family, firmly on the side of Caesar's assassins and their republican ideals, found themselves directly in the crosshairs of this triumviral retribution. Their loyalty became a dangerous liability. Her father, Marcus Livius Drusus Claudianus, famously committed suicide on the battlefield of Philippi in 42 BCE rather than fall into the hands of Octavian and Antony. This act underscored the family's unwavering commitment. With her father's death and the Republican cause collapsing, Livia, still a teenager, found herself caught in a desperate fight for survival. Her husband, Tiberius Claudius Nero, was now a marked man. He was one of the many senators actively opposing the triumvirs, particularly Octavian. Consequently, their household became a target, forcing them to flee Rome with their young son, the future Emperor Tiberius. They journeyed across Italy, constantly evading capture, living a clandestine existence. This period of intense hardship and constant threat was a stark education for Livia, stripping away any illusions of safety. It taught her resilience, quick thinking, and the ultimate fragility of power. It showed her, firsthand, the brutal cost of political opposition and the importance of adapting to survive. Her husband, an unwavering idealist, eventually allied himself with Mark Antony's brother, Lucius Antonius, who was making a last stand against Octavian at Perusia. This choice would have profound consequences. The siege of Perusia in 41–40 BCE was a brutal affair, ending in a crushing defeat for Lucius Antonius and his allies. Tiberius Claudius Nero was forced to flee once more, this time abandoning Italy entirely. Livia, pregnant with her second son, Drusus, endured harrowing conditions. Accounts describe her carrying her first child in her arms, struggling through perilous journeys, all to escape the triumvir's wrath. They eventually found refuge in Sicily, then Greece, living as exiles, dependent on the goodwill of allies. This period of statelessness further refined Livia's understanding of vulnerability and strategic necessity. It was during this desperate flight, amidst the ruins of the old republic, that fate intervened. The precise circumstances remain debated, but historical records suggest their path tragically intersected with Octavian's. In 39 BCE, a general amnesty was declared, allowing many exiles, including Tiberius Claudius Nero and his family, to return to Rome. This was a precarious peace, but it opened a door. Upon their return, a fateful encounter occurred. Octavian, the future Augustus, was by then the undisputed master of Italy, consolidating his power and actively seeking alliances. He was captivated by Livia. He saw in her not just beauty, but intelligence, poise, and a strength forged in adversity. He recognized a woman who understood the currents of power, a vital asset for a man building an empire. Livia, for her part, found herself in an impossible position. Married with a young son, her husband's career was in tatters, his loyalty to the Republican cause a permanent stain in the eyes of the new power. Her options were severely limited, her family's future uncertain. To refuse Octavian would invite disaster, not just for herself, but for her husband and children. This was a strategic imperative, not a choice of affection. Her early choices, therefore, were not made from a position of strength, but from profound vulnerability. They were calculated risks, born of necessity and a keen awareness of the brutal political realities. In the cutthroat world of Rome, where men battled for supremacy, Livia's greatest challenge was to leverage her intellect and resolve within the suffocating constraints placed upon her gender. Her survival and the survival of her family depended entirely on her ability to navigate this treacherous landscape, to turn disadvantage into opportunity, and to forge alliances where none seemed possible. Her decision to divorce Tiberius Claudius Nero and marry Octavian was not a romantic whim. It was a monumental strategic move, a calculated gamble for power and protection in a world without mercy. This moment defined her early trajectory, propelling her from the periphery of a collapsing republic directly into the burgeoning imperial court, the very epicenter of power. It was a leap of faith into an unknown future, guided by an unwavering will to not just survive, but to profoundly influence the course of Roman history, defying every societal expectation. This marked the true beginning of Livia's strategic masterclass, an extraordinary journey from exile to empress, meticulously crafted amidst the Roman crucible. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 3 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 2 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 1 more paragraphs of content here. The tempest of Roman civil war raged, tearing at the very fabric of the Republic. Amidst this chaos, personal lives became pawns in a grand, brutal game of power and survival. It was into this crucible of political turmoil that Livia Drusilla, a woman of formidable intellect and iron will, began to carve her legend. Her journey would defy all conventional expectations. Her first marriage to Tiberius Claudius Nero, a scion of an ancient patrician family, was itself a reflection of the Republic's fracturing loyalties, aligning her with the anti-Caesarian faction. Yet, fate, or perhaps Livia's own burgeoning strategic brilliance, had a different path in store. The encounter with Octavian, the shrewd heir of Julius Caesar, would fundamentally alter her trajectory. In 39 BC, an extraordinary union was forged, one that transcended mere personal affection to become a pivotal strategic maneuver in the nascent Roman Empire's brutal political landscape. This was no ordinary romance, but a calculated consolidation of influence. A masterful stroke of marital diplomacy executed during a period of intense instability and profound uncertainty. Octavian, the ambitious young general, was captivated by Livia. More than her beauty, it was her acute intelligence and aristocratic pedigree that drew him into her orbit. Livia, then pregnant with her second child by Nero, found herself in an unprecedented position. The historical records suggest Octavian himself orchestrated her divorce, a shocking move. Such a blatant disregard for social convention underscored Octavian's burgeoning power and Livia's undeniable allure and perceived value as a political asset. This audacious act sent ripples of scandal through Roman society. Yet beneath the societal outrage lay a clear message. Octavian would stop at nothing to secure his objectives. For Livia, the decision was agonizing but pragmatic. Aligning with Octavian promised stability and immense influence, a stark contrast to her current family's declining fortunes. Her strategic calculus was impeccable. To refuse Octavian was to invite peril. To embrace him was to step onto the stage of history, directly influencing Rome's destiny. Their marriage, finalized just 3 days after Livia gave birth to Drusus, cemented a powerful alliance. It was a union of minds as much as of houses, designed for political longevity. Livia immediately understood the gravity of her new position as Octavian's wife. She was no mere consort, but a partner in an unfolding imperial project, requiring constant vigilance. Her initial strategic moves were subtle, yet profound, focusing on cultivating a formidable network of alliances among Rome's elite women. This was her true battleground. These powerful Roman matrons, wives and mothers of senators and generals, held immense informal sway, and Livia recognized their collective influence as a potent, often underestimated force. Through meticulously hosted gatherings, carefully worded conversations, and genuine displays of support, Livia began to weave a delicate yet unbreakable web of loyalty around herself. Her ability to listen, to empathize, and to offer judicious counsel earned her respect and trust, gradually turning potential rivals into valuable, quiet allies within the court. Expert analysis of the period reveals that this soft power was crucial. Livia understood that direct confrontation often led to ruin for women in Rome's patriarchal system. Instead, she mastered the art of subtle influence, gently guiding conversations, planting ideas, and providing crucial information that shaped the opinions of powerful men through their wives. She became an indispensable confidant to Octavian. Her keen political instincts and unparalleled understanding of Roman society a vital counterpoint to his military and administrative prowess. Her home became a hub of political intelligence, a salon where information flowed freely, and Livia, ever watchful, absorbed every whispered confidence and every unspoken ambition. This allowed her to secure her initial, tenuous foothold within the burgeoning imperial court, demonstrating her value far beyond mere domesticity or lineage. Livia skillfully transformed the traditional Roman role of a matron into a strategic asset, leveraging domestic responsibilities to build political capital and strengthen her husband's position. She managed Octavian's household with impeccable efficiency, presenting an image of stability and order crucial for a leader trying to unite a war-torn nation. Every public appearance, every carefully chosen garment, every perfectly executed social engagement served a larger strategic purpose: to project an aura of legitimate, unshakable power. Her presence alongside Octavian symbolized continuity and stability, a powerful visual message to a populace weary of endless civil strife and hungry for peace. The imperial couple, with Livia subtly guiding their domestic and social image, began to embody the very ideals of the new Augustan age, an era of unprecedented peace and prosperity. She navigated the treacherous waters of court intrigue with unparalleled grace, always maintaining an unblemished public reputation while privately wielding significant power. Her adeptness at cultivating loyalty and her strategic acumen laid the groundwork for the extraordinary influence she would wield throughout Octavian's reign and beyond. This early period, marked by audacious marital diplomacy and astute social maneuvering, was Livia's true strategic masterclass, solidifying her essential role in Rome's future. She was not merely a consort, she was a co-architect of the new Roman order, her actions profoundly impacting the trajectory of Western civilization. Her story reveals that power is not always seized on the battlefield, but can be meticulously cultivated in the drawing rooms and corridors of influence, reshaping history. Bathissa, in the treacherous political theater of ancient Rome, Livia Drusilla operated not as an empress by title, but as the true shadow empress, masterfully pulling the strings of power. Her stage was a viper's nest of ambition, betrayal, and relentless intrigue, where missteps could mean ruin or death. For a woman in an era dominated by men, her influence was revolutionary, a testament to sheer willpower and unparalleled strategic intellect. She understood that overt displays of power were a weakness, opting instead for subtle manipulation and long-game strategies. Livia's genius lay in her capacity to navigate the turbulent currents of the Roman elite, securing her position and advancing her agenda with breathtaking precision. Her immediate challenge was to consolidate her standing within Augustus's innermost circle. From the outset, she diligently cultivated an image of traditional Roman virtue and unwavering devotion to her husband and the state. This public persona was an impenetrable shield, deflecting criticism while camouflaging her extraordinary political machinations. Beneath this serene exterior lay a mind of razor-sharp analytical prowess, capable of anticipating threats long before they materialized. She knew Rome's complex social and political fabric intimately. Livia's methods for neutralizing rivals were a masterclass in indirect warfare, favoring sophisticated psychological pressure over blunt confrontation. She meticulously gathered intelligence on anyone who might threaten her influence or Augustus's reign. This information was then deployed with surgical precision, often to subtly undermine reputations or erode trust. Rivals frequently found their alliances crumbling and their support mysteriously vanishing. Historical records, though often filtered through later Roman biases, hint at her formidable effectiveness. Few could withstand the slow, inexorable pressure Livia could bring to bear. Managing the powerful, often volatile Roman factions demanded extraordinary diplomatic skill and a profound understanding of human nature. She became an unparalleled expert in the art of political chess. Livia deftly played competing interests against each other, ensuring no single group could amass enough power to challenge her or Augustus. She fostered intricate networks of alliances. She understood the currency of favors and patronage, using them to bind powerful families to her cause and to that of her husband. Her influence became pervasive, yet rarely seen. Augustus, the undisputed ruler of Rome, increasingly relied on Livia's astute counsel, often seeking her perspective on critical state affairs. Her input was a constant guiding force. Her ability to subtly steer Augustus's decisions was perhaps her greatest political triumph, a testament to her mastery of soft power and strategic communication. She never demanded, she suggested. The most monumental challenge, however, was securing the imperial succession for her son, Tiberius. This was a goal fraught with peril, given Augustus's long-standing desire for direct blood heirs. Augustus initially favored his grandsons, Gaius and Lucius Caesar, offspring of his daughter Julia. Their unexpected and premature deaths drastically altered the political landscape. While no definitive historical evidence directly implicates Livia in these tragic events, the timing was undeniably propitious for her aspirations. The path to power cleared for Tiberius. Expert analysis of the historical context reveals how these sudden losses, whether by illness or accident, created an unprecedented opportunity. Livia was poised to capitalize. She embarked on a relentless campaign to promote Tiberius, tirelessly advocating for his capabilities, his military experience, and his unwavering loyalty to Augustus and Rome. Livia skillfully positioned Tiberius as the only logical and stable successor, indispensable for the continued stability of the fledgling Roman Empire. She made his ascension inevitable. She cultivated a narrative of Tiberius's reluctant but dutiful acceptance of the imperial burden, framing him as Rome's last, best hope in a time of uncertainty. Her strategic brilliance ensured that every potential challenge to Tiberius's claim was either neutralized or cleverly sidestepped. She anticipated every move on the board. Through a masterful blend of persuasion, subtle maneuvering, and unwavering determination, Livia secured the legacy she had envisioned. Her son would become emperor. Livia Drusilla's ascendancy, from a politically vulnerable noblewoman to the architect of an imperial dynasty, remains an unparalleled example of strategic genius and political endurance. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 10 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 9 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 8 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 7 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 6 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 5 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 4 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 3 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 2 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 1 more paragraphs of content here. Bezo. The death of Emperor Augustus was not an end to Livia Drusilla's power, but rather the dramatic opening of its most extraordinary chapter. For ancient Rome, it was a moment of profound uncertainty, a precipice of potential chaos following decades of unprecedented stability. Yet Livia, ever the consummate strategist, recognized this critical juncture as her ultimate opportunity to shape the empire's future. Her meticulous life's work, dedicated to the elevation and preservation of her family, now culminated in this singularly pivotal moment. The delicate and perilous transition of supreme power to her son, Tiberius, weighed heavily upon her formidable shoulders. For decades, Livia had assiduously prepared Tiberius, guiding him through the intricate labyrinths of Roman politics, grooming him for the ultimate succession. He was Augustus's chosen heir, a seasoned general and administrator, yet also a man often characterized by deep-seated resentment and a strained relationship with his powerful mother. It was in these precariously balanced days that Livia's political genius truly shone, a masterclass in strategic maneuvering and unwavering resolve. She meticulously navigated the volatile currents of senatorial intrigue and factional loyalties. Her singular objective was to ensure Tiberius's smooth, legitimate, and unchallenged ascension to the exalted principate. Historical records reveal Livia's firm, almost absolute control of information during this critical interim period, carefully managing all communication with the provinces and legions. Expert analysis confirms her strategic counsel was not merely significant, but absolutely indispensable in stabilizing the nervous Roman elite. The remarkable speed and profound order of the succession, a stark contrast to past power vacuums, stood as an undeniable testament to her pervasive and enduring influence. This was not merely a transition, it was a carefully orchestrated political masterstroke, securing the Augustan legacy through her chosen heir. Posthumously, Augustus's will contained a decree of immense historical significance, formally adopting Livia into the Julian family. This extraordinary act transformed her into Julia Augusta, a title unprecedented for any Roman woman in her own right. This elevation solidified her imperial status, granting her immense social prestige and a formal political standing previously unattainable by even the most influential matrons. No Roman woman before her had ever wielded such a formalized, institutionalized position of power within the very heart of the empire. Yet, Tiberius, though undeniably indebted to his mother for his throne, harbored a deep-seated resentment toward her ubiquitous and pervasive influence. He consistently sought to curtail her public role, keenly wary of her formidable will and her continued powerful presence in political life. But Livia's iron resolve remained utterly unbroken, her tenacious grip on the imperial family and its affairs unyielding. She defiantly maintained her own extensive network of loyal clients, influential advisors, and powerful contacts throughout the empire. Her private audiences with foreign dignitaries and ambassadors, once a hallmark of Augustus's court, continued unabated, underscoring her ongoing diplomatic power. Her influence within the imperial household, among her grandchildren and the wider family, remained virtually absolute and unchallenged. She did not hesitate to challenge Tiberius openly, often and forcefully, on crucial matters of state policy and the moral integrity of the imperial family. Livia frequently advised him from behind the scenes, a powerful voice whispering in the corridors of power, and her opinions carried undeniable weight among the populace. Her letters to various senators, though ostensibly informal, were often interpreted as direct commands from the August Empress. This era saw Livia positioning herself as the staunch defender of the family's moral fabric and the revered traditions of the Roman state. She continually battled against any perceived slight or challenge to her enduring authority, asserting her position with fierce determination. Her strategic mind, honed over decades, flawlessly adapted to every new and evolving political reality and personal challenge. She became the enduring matriarch of Rome, a potent symbol of stability and continuity in a rapidly changing world. Livia's ultimate legacy was not merely surviving the turbulent shifts of power, but actively defining the very nature of imperial rule for generations. Her enduring power and strategic mastery stand as a profound testament to an unyielding will and unparalleled political acumen. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 22 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 21 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 20 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 19 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 18 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 17 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 16 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 15 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 14 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 13 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 12 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 11 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 10 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 9 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 8 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 7 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 6 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 5 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 4 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 3 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 2 more paragraphs of content here. AI-generated placeholder. This section needs to be expanded to meet the outline's length requirement. Please add 1 more paragraphs of content here. The sands of time may obscure many figures, but Livia Drusilla's shadow stretches long across the landscape of ancient Rome, defining an epoch. Her influence transcended the boundaries of her own remarkable life, profoundly shaping the very fabric of the nascent Roman Empire. Livia was not merely a consort, she was an architect of the Augustan age, meticulously crafting the public face of imperial power. Through her every action, she contributed to a new Roman imperial ideology, subtle yet potent in its societal reach. She championed traditional Roman values, pietas, gravitas, and frugalitas, embodying them for the entire empire to witness. Her portrayal as the ideal Roman matron became a cornerstone of Augustan propaganda, fostering stability and moral rectitude. This carefully cultivated image reinforced Augustus's moral reforms, lending legitimacy and divine sanction to his unprecedented rule. Livia, in essence, designed the template for the imperial woman, a precedent that would resonate for centuries within the Roman world. She set standards for public visibility, political engagement, and the subtle exercise of influence by future empresses and royal women. Her life became a delicate balance between public duty and the perceived domestic virtues expected of Rome's most prominent lady. Beyond ideology, Livia provided critical strategic stability during a notoriously fragile period of Rome's transformation into an empire. She was a constant, unwavering presence at Augustus's side, a rock in the turbulent seas of political transition and consolidation. Her adept management of the vast imperial household was a testament to her administrative prowess, a vital pillar of governance. More than a wife, she was an effective advisor, a shrewd political partner whose insights Augustus undeniably valued and trusted. Her foresight in matters of dynastic succession proves her strategic brilliance, aiming to secure the Julio-Claudian legacy. The complex machinations surrounding Tiberius's ascension to power bear the unmistakable hallmarks of Livia's determined hand. Her undeniable drive was to secure and solidify the continuity of the Julio-Claudian lineage at almost any cost. This formidable ambition, however, inevitably led to profound controversies and enduring historical accusations against her character. Whispers of her involvement in the suspicious deaths of rivals and potential heirs plague her historical narrative to this day. The untimely demise of Marcellus, Augustus's beloved nephew, and later Gaius Caesar, cast long dark shadows over her ambition. The subsequent deaths of Lucius Caesar and Agrippa Postumus completed a grim pattern, conveniently clearing Tiberius's path. Were these merely tragic, convenient accidents? Or did they represent the ruthless execution of Livia's dynastic design? Ancient historians, notably Tacitus, often depicted her as a formidable, even Machiavellian force within the imperial court. She was frequently portrayed as a cold, calculating political operator, whose private power far eclipsed her public demureness. This stark contrast between her public image as Pater Patriae's wife and her alleged private machinations fuels endless debate. Modern historical analysis endeavors to re-evaluate these sensational claims, applying rigorous academic scrutiny to ancient sources. While compelling, definitive proof for many of the accusations, especially poisonings, remains elusive in the historical record. Indeed, aristocratic life in Rome was fraught with peril, where natural death could often be mistaken for political assassination. Yet, the very persistence of these whispers across millennia underscores the perception of her immense, sometimes terrifying power. Her most profound legacy lies in the institutionalization of the imperial family's public image and its role in Roman identity. She effectively carved out a distinct and influential role for the empress, establishing a precedent for imperial women's power. Livia thus bequeathed a powerful, albeit controversial, blueprint for female involvement in the highest echelons of Roman politics. Through her subtle maneuvers and steadfast resolve, she solidified the fragile foundations of Roman imperial rule, ensuring its survival. Livia Drusilla offers a timeless masterclass in political longevity, strategic influence, and the sheer force of human will. She left an indelible, multifaceted mark on the annals of one of history's greatest empires, shaping its destiny profoundly. And so, we conclude this epic masterclass on Empress Livia Drusilla, revealing a figure far more profound than history often portrays. She was Rome's true uncrowned queen. Her reign, built on unparalleled strategic genius, navigated the treacherous currents of a burgeoning empire with masterful precision and foresight. Through subtle influence and psychological acumen, Livia demonstrated that intellect and patience were indeed her most potent, unyielding weapons. Marital diplomacy became her chessboard. Alliances her meticulously placed pieces, securing the enduring impact of the Augustan age. Her astute political maneuvering, a silent, relentless battle fought within the very heart of power, irrevocably shaped dynastic succession and Rome's future. Livia didn't merely survive a male-dominated world, she fundamentally transformed its political landscape, rewriting the rules from within. Her indelible legacy, scrutinized through extensive historical records, testifies to an unyielding will and a profound, strategic foresight. This captivating saga offers timeless lessons in advanced political strategy, unshakable resilience, and the quiet power of an indomitable human spirit. We invite you to continue exploring such epic historical journeys, revealed through our unique, cinematic analysis approach. Like this video, share your insights in the comments below, and subscribe for more enthralling historical masterclasses from our leading analysis channel.